Okay, today we are starting a new unit. We're going to be going over area, surface area, and volume. So we're going to just look at some basic area formulas. You have most likely seen all of these formulas before, so today should be a review for you. But we do want to make sure that we refresh our memory on how to do these problems. So we have multiple area formulas listed for us here. We have our triangle, we have our rectangle, our square, our parallelogram, our trapezoid, and our circle. Okay? So if you don't know the names of those, make sure that you write them down. I'm going to go ahead and write them for you. You have triangle, parallelogram, rectangle, square, trapezoid, and circle. Okay. And you have the perimeter formulas listed there, and you have area, you have circumference for circle as well. So on the directions, you're just finding the area of each plane figure below. Let's just go ahead and round to the nearest tenth on this page. So on number 1, area of a square is going to be side squared. So you're just going to plug in one of the sides, 8.5, and you're going to square it. So 8.5 squared is going to round to 72.3 feet squared. Area is always squared. Okay, so for number 2, this is our triangle. Our area formula is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, my base in this figure is 15. My height is 21.3. So 0.5 times 15 times 21.3. If I round to the nearest tenth, I'm going to have 159.8 meters squared. Should be pretty easy. Next, I have a parallelogram. Okay, my area formula for a parallelogram, I want you to write these formulas so that you start to memorize them. There's a lot of formulas in this unit, so you need to start memorizing them as quickly as possible. So my area is base times height here. Okay, so your height is always going to connect down to your base in these figures. That's how you know what the height is. So my base here is going to be that 12.9. and it's going to be multiplied by the height. So if I multiply those, 12.9 times 7.1, I'm going to have 91.6 inches squared. Make sure you put the units. So number 4, I'm trying to find the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So pi, now my radius here is not given, so I've got to cut that in half. The radius should be 13. So pi times 13 squared, which gives me 530.9. And this is yards squared. Okay, number 5, this is a trapezoid. So if you look, our trapezoid formula is 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. The height will connect the bases so that you know which ones they are. The height is always drawn from base to base. So I'm going to have 1/2 times that height, which is 16, times my base 1 plus my base 2, so 19 plus 27. Doesn't matter what order you put those in. But let's go ahead and plug that in. 1/2 times 16 times 19 plus 27. You should get 368 centimeters squared. Okay. Number 6 is a rectangle. The area is length times width. So my length is 10.5 my width is 3.7. So 10.5 times 3.7 is going to be 38.9 kilometers squared. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to leave those last few blank. I want you to flip it over. Let's look at number 11 and let's look at number 12. These are going to have some added steps in them. Now, my area formula for a rectangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, I know my base is 7, but I don't know what my height is. This is my height right here. But this is a right triangle, so I could find it by using Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to make this A, B, and C. So let's go ahead and find it. I'm going to take A squared plus 7 squared equals 18.2 squared. Now I'm going to take the 18.2 squared and I'm going to take away the 7 squared. And then your very last step is to take the square root. We've done this a lot this year, so I'm really expecting you to know how to do this. So that missing side should be 16.8. That's what you need to plug in. So now you can calculate 1/2 times 7 times 16.8. And you should get 58.8 feet squared. Okay, number 12. This is a trapezoid, so your area formula is 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. So your height should be drawn from base to base, but it's not in there. I'm going to draw it in there. So what we don't know is that H. I don't know what this is right here. I'm going to leave a blank for it. But I know my base 1 and my base 2 are right there. So what I need to find right here, I'm going to call this A. What I just created is a 90-degree angle. What I need to find out is this little small segment right here of the triangle. So there's another small segment over here that should be the same. And I know just this piece is 7. So if I take 19 minus 7, that's going to give me 12. If I divide that by 2, it will give me 6. And that's what I have left right there. So I'm going to do Pythagorean theorem with these values. A squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. So go ahead and solve that. 10 squared minus 6 squared first, and then take the square root. So you should get 8 for the height. And then you can solve it. 1/2 times 8 times 19 plus 7. Should get 104 centimeters squared. All right. Okay, the directions below say use the area formulas to find each measure. So we've got some word problems, and they're not too bad, but you've got to read through them. So it says a triangle with an area of 45.5 centimeters squares has a base that measures 14 centimeters. So I know my area is 45.5, and I know my base is 14. I just don't know the height. So let's set up the formula and let's plug in our numbers. Our area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to have 45.5 equals 1/2 of 14 times h, or I want to solve for h. So if I take 1/2 of 14, I'm going to have 7 h. And if I divide by 7, I will get what my height is. So 45.5 divided by 7. It's going to give me 6.5 centimeters for my height. Not too bad. Okay, number 14 says I have a parallelogram here. I know the area formula for a parallelogram is base times height. It tells me my area is 160.5, and it tells me my height is 7.5, so I don't know my base. So I just have to take and divide by 7.5 to get rid of it. So 160.5 divided by 7.5. So my base should be 21.4 inches. Okay. Number 15, a trapezoid. So write down the area formula for a trapezoid. It's 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. It says that one of the bases is 23, doesn't matter which one, and then the other base is 29. Tells me that I have an area of 390. I'm finding the height. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore that h for right now, and I'm going to pretend like it's not there. I'm going to calculate. I'm going to do 0.5 times 23 plus 29. So if I do that, I have 390 equals that 1/2 times 23 plus 29 in parentheses gives me 26, and I still have the h left behind. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to divide. So 390 divided by 26, that is going to give me 15 kilometers. That's the height of this trapezoid. So number 16, again, I have a trapezoid, so I'm going to write down the formula for it. 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. So it tells me to find the length of the second base. One of the base measures 12 feet. So I have 12 feet. I don't know the second base. I know the height is 4. And I know the area is 58. So just kind of plugging things in backwards here. So what I have here is I have 58. I'm going to multiply the 1/2 and the 4 here. I have times 2, 12 plus base 2. So I'm going to get rid of the 2 by dividing by 2. So 58 divided by 2 is 29. And then I have 12 plus base 2 left. So all I have to do is subtract. So 29 minus 12. So my base 2 is 17 feet. Okay. 2 more. Number 17, find the diameter of a circle with an area of 380.13. So my area formula for a circle is pi r squared. I'm going to plug in the area, 380.13. I'm going to get rid of the pi by dividing. So 380.13 divided by pi. That is going to be rounded to 121. But to get rid of the squared, I have to take the square root. So r is going to be 11. But it asks for diameter, so I have to multiply by 2. So my diameter should be 22 meters. So next one tells me find the perimeter of a square with an area of 361 feet. So my area formula for my square is side squared. And I know my area is 361. So to find out what one single side would be, I would have to take the square root. And the square root of 361 is 19. That's what my side is. Now I know my perimeter formula is 4 times my side. So I'm just going to plug that in. 4 times 19. And that is going to give me 76 feet. Okay, last problem here. It says Mr. Payton would like to paint his deck. The dimensions of the deck are shown below. If 1 can of paint covers 72 square feet, how many cans will he need to purchase for 2 coats of paint? So he wants to paint it twice. So what we want to do is we want to find the area, okay? So the area, this is a trapezoid, is going to be 1/2 times height of base 1 plus base 2. The area will be how much paint covers this deck. So if I take 1/2, plug in my height, 16.5, plug in my bases, 14 and 24. I just got to plug that in and calculate what that is. So 1/2, 16.5 times 14 plus 24. And that's going to give me 313.5 feet squared. So the problem told us that 1 can of paint covers 72 square feet. But I know that I have 313.5 square feet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how many cans of paint I need there. But I also have to take into account that he wants to cover this twice. So I have twice as much area. So I'm going to take this area and I'm going to go ahead and multiply it by 2 to go ahead and accommodate two coats of paint. So that gives me 627 square feet. So in order to know how many cans of paint I need to divide that by how many 1 can will cover. So 627 divided by 72, that gives me 8.7 cans. But can you buy 8.7 cans? No. If I bought just 8, it wouldn't be enough. So I need to buy 9 cans of paint. Okay? Okay, so I think there was a few problems that we didn't cover on this page. So go ahead and finish those up, and then I want you to start on your homework.